welcome back. Today's very exciting because I got a tripod for my phone, so it's like not on a giant stack of books anymore, so that's very exciting. I'm Una. I do project planning and similar stuff, and today I wanted to talk to you about things that I have probably used 100 times. I haven't kept track of everything, and I have a really bad memory for these kinds of things, but these are things that I think probably I've used 100 times. And you might see these and be like, yeah, of course you've used it 100 times, but I just am not confident. Like, I feel like I can't assert, like, these are things I definitely used 100 times. I can only say that I have very much most likely used them 100 times. So this is inspired by, like, Too Much Tasha's 100 Club and Chic Geek's Project 100 Uses. But yeah, because I haven't been tracking stuff, this is just kind of like some stuff that I think I've used 100 times. Alright, I hope you think that's interesting. Let's get into them. Oh, wait, I forgot to grab one. We're good now. I grabbed the thing. So first off is this Super Shock Shadow, which has been in a project pan of mine. It's in the shade Amaze. I had this in a project pan all of last year, and I'm pretty sure I've used this 100 times. I feel like I had this in a project pan where I was using it really frequently for a year. I used it before then, I've used it since then. I feel like about half of this is completely used up, and so I think I can say that I've used this 100 times. Yeah, it's a nice shadow. I wasn't super big on it when I got it. I received this as a gift from a friend in high school, which is very kind of her. And I was like getting into makeup, and I was also getting into like colorful makeup. I was like, ugh, it's neutral, it's so boring. But I actually really like this. It's a great topper shade. Just kind of anytime my look is like a little bit peachy, a little bit pinky. A lot of times I've worn this when I've been doing looks that have like maybe yellow on the inner corner and like pink or purple on the outer corner. This is like the perfect for the in the middle of the lid. It's so nice. So yeah, I'm hoping to eventually use this up completely. That would be really cool. But for now, it's just something I've used a lot. Okay, the next one on my list is from that same project pan last year, and this is a highlight single. I think I got this like an Ipsy. It's like a highlight, I don't know, it's the size of an eyeshadow, but it's like just a very plain highlight. I used it as a highlighter a lot. And I also had this in that same project pan for the whole year, and I just feel like I must have used this 100 times, even though I've only used like maybe a quarter of it. But I used it a lot, like just as an inner corner highlight, so it's not like I was using it as a full face highlighter for an entire year. And I was working on other highlighters at various points. I think I've used this 100 times, and I'm pretty happy with that, even though I still don't have side pan. But my pan in the middle was very in the middle, and it's so close to side pan. I should probably like just put this in a build your own palette for like a week and hit side pan, but it's fine, whatever. I think I've used it 100 times. I fully intend to come back and finish that eventually. Like, it's just kind of a totally fine, I don't know, it's like a little bit sparkly, but it's a perfectly nice highlight. It's very easy to wear, and that's like one of the most reasonable, like that's the closest I've gotten to using up a highlighter, which helps that it's basically the size of an eyeshadow. Anyway, the next thing on my list is my Modern Renaissance palette, which I have depotted into singles, and I use these singles a lot to make little like DIY palettes or like dupes of things, so I had to assemble them for this video, which is always a bit of work, but here they are. Yeah, so as you can see, I have a lot of pans in these bad boys. This one I'm working on finishing up this year. Okay, this one did have pan, but then part of it crumbled and I just kind of pushed it back into the center, so I mean, it has a pan in my collection. I just need to like use it a couple more times to reveal the pan yet again. Yeah, there are only 3 shadows without pan. 1, 2, 3, and I also, since I depotted them like at the middle of last year, so I've had them for probably like 6 months depotted, and so I've used a lot of them individually a lot of times, like which is part of why I think like I've used the palette 100 times, because sometimes I've just been using one shade for like 20 uses and then moving on. like at the beginning, this was the first pan I hit this year, was in Antique Bronze. That was the only shade from this palette I was using other than this one. So yeah, lots of uses on this palette. I'm so happy to have this depotted. I mean, I think as a palette, it's like not the best because it's mostly mattes. There's only 2 shimmers out of 14 shadows, and just like a lot of kind of dark shades, but using these to build a palette is so good. This base looks kind of weird. These like are perfect shades to put together a palette. I just did, the palette that was in this was like a kind of dupe the vibes of the Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde palette, and I used like 4 of the shadows from this palette in that because they're just so basic. Like they're basic, they're nice, and they're small, which is also good for a build your own palette because I am always running out of space. Yeah, they're great. I mean, I'm hoping to finish up Tempera this year, but not because I don't like it, just because it's easy to use. Yeah, I would love to use up this entire palette eventually, but not as like one consolidated effort, but in these various other projects. It's great. Okay, the next one, which is also a palette. Maybe I should, okay, I put this list kind of in, it's like reverse order in my spreadsheet, but I should probably spread them out. Anyway, this is my BH Carli Bybel palette, deluxe edition. So this I didn't use up, it just fell out. But this palette has been, well, it's been around for a long time. I've had it for a long time. I bought it. This was like one of the first palettes I bought. But then also this year, it's been in my Stardew Valley project pan, and just in that project since the beginning of the year, which was like a month and a half ago, a month and 3/4 ago, I've used it like 57 times, I think. So I've definitely used this 100 times. And my estimate is that I've used it about 130 times, but anyway, I have, how many pans is it now? I have 4 eyeshadow pans and 1 highlighter pan. I think I'm very close to hitting pan on this highlighter as well. I love this palette. I don't know, I mean, again, it's really basic, just like the Modern Renaissance, but it's got these wonderful midtones, which I use all the time. The highlighters are really nice. I've used this highlighter as nail polish, which I actually love. It's like really pretty medium nude kind of brown. I use these as like outer corner liner type of shades all the time. I mean, the only things I don't like is like these 2 shimmers are just not tones I love, but that's fine. This shimmer I love. I put a shimmer on today and I was like, it's a little bit too like corally, and so I just tapped this all over that. It's really great. I also like barely use this, which I think is just because I don't do like true brown looks a lot. I usually do like a pinky or a yellowy or a peachy kind of brown, but it's totally fine. It's a great, totally fine shadow, and the same for these. But pretty much the rest of them, other than those 4 shades, I use this palette a lot. I really love it. I mean, I wouldn't like buy it again. I don't know, like it's just fine. But I'm so glad I have it, and because I do have it, I use it so much. And I don't mind just having it around, because when I have it all together, when I reach for one eyeshadow, then I usually reach for a highlighter or reach for another eyeshadow, or something like that. And I'm so happy doing that. There are a couple people panning this palette this year on Instagram, and I'm kind of like, it's kind of my unofficial, like, if I'm not gonna reach for anything else, this is what I'm gonna reach for. If I don't know where I'm starting, this is where I'm starting. Like, it's just so easy to use all the time. So I really enjoy that. I have a couple more palettes, but I'm gonna skip past that for now and talk about another project pan item. This is the Fresh Sugar Petal Lip Balm. This is like, it's a lip balm that has SPF. All the writing has rubbed off, so yeah, it's been a while. The SPF in the lip balm, which is the thing, the SPF in this expired in 2020, and this was something my mom bought me. Anyway, so this is all that's left in this lip balm. Spoilers from a project pan this year, but nobody really watches that, so this is all I have left. Since the beginning of the year, wait, I should actually look at the tally marks because I do have them. I think I've actually used this like 90 times since the beginning of the year. I put this on when I start my makeup. Sometimes I put it on right before I end my makeup. A lot of times I put it on after I eat a meal or when I just get home from classes. Like, I probably wear this about 5 times a day. Like, that's like a maximum. Between 2 and 5 times a day. And I don't always remember to mark it. but just since like January 5th or something, I've used this like 90 times. So to use up the whole rest of the stick, which was probably like that much, I'm sure I've used this a lot. Because I started, the beginning of the year was like to there. Anyway, I've definitely used this 100 times. I've probably used it like 200 times, but it's nice. I do find that it's a little bit thick, especially for the tint that it has. Like usually when I apply it, I don't like swipe it, I usually tap it, like, because otherwise it's just a little bit too thick. But it's totally nice. I mean, I won't repurchase it, especially Fresh is not cruelty free. I try to buy cruelty free unless there's extenuating circumstances, you know. So I would not repurchase this, but I'm so glad that my mom bought it for me, and I'm happy to use it up. Alright, another palette is the Tartelette Flirt palette by Tarte. This is also in my project pan this year. And this is what it looks like now. Again, I'm panning this shade, and just since the beginning of this year, I have used it. I've used it over 50 times, probably around 60 times, and I already had pan in this shade and 2 other shades, so I'm sure I used it at least 50 times before that. So yeah, this one has definitely been used 100 times. This is okay, it's a great palette, and I do reach for it a lot, but I don't really like the shimmer tones. Like, I can wear this one, and there's a pretty decent dip in there. I'm actually wearing that today, but I don't love it. Like I said, I put a different shadow from the Carli Bybel BH Cosmetics palette over it because I don't love the tone. So there's a cooler tone version of this, which I probably would enjoy more, but I was not into cool tones when I bought this palette. So it totally makes sense. The matte formula is lovely. I really, really like these mattes. I mean, I wish this wasn't as orange as it is, but this is really great. I worked on this last year in a project pan. This is like really, I can't just say they're all really great. This is a really great like medium tone. Like, it looks a little bit dark, but it can blend out really, really nicely. This I actually use as a blush. I used it as a blush today, although I didn't put foundation on, so you can kind of just see my natural flush as well. I love this. I'm gonna use this up soon, and I might press something else back into here to keep it more versatile, but I like having this out and reaching for it, and I probably will try and hit pan in these 2 shades pretty soon, and maybe try and like really expand the pan in this at some point this year. And I might honestly just get rid of this and put something else in there, because I don't like it at all. But the rest of the palette is great, and I've used it 100 times, which is the important part. So this is something, I think I bought this the most recent of any of these products. This is the Glossier Stretch Concealer. I bought this like Thanksgiving, because it was Black Friday sale of 2020, because I thought it might be like my perfect concealer, and it is. And I love it, and I think it's legitimately the only concealer I used in 2021. So I'm pretty positive that I've used this 100 times. I also have pan in it, again, within like a year. Yeah, I hit this in 2021, so so it was like a year and a month maybe. I love this concealer. I would love, like, I'm not brand loyal. This was the one kind of pot foundation that, or concealer, that I knew people liked, so that's why I picked this one. I would love to find another pot concealer that's similar. It's just so easy to wear. I'm currently painting another concealer, and I'm painting 2 other concealers. One I want to finish and one I just want to use a lot, but if there's a day where I'm just like, nothing's working out, like, this is always what I want to go for, and I try to use other concealers because they're totally fine, but this is just the one that my heart belongs to, this concealer. So, okay, the last palette I have in here is pretty obvious. This is my Covergirl Trunaked Nudes palette. I think it's legitimately the first palette. Okay, I owned 2 other palettes before that I tried to depot, and then I ended up throwing in the trash because it didn't work out, and they weren't very good. But this is definitely like my oldest palette. This is what it looks like. 4 of the shades are completely gone. Yeah, I think parts of this one fell out, but it doesn't really matter. I've finished up 4 entire shades. I've hit pan on every shade. I've used most of this one, about half of that one. Yeah, I've used this 100 times. It's nice. I mean, it's definitely like just a CoverGirl nude palette. I don't know. It was easy to use. This This shade is actually really pretty and shiny, and I used it as a highlighter, but I don't really love it as a highlighter, but it's like a great shadow. Like that's not a con. I don't know, like it's not trying to be a highlighter, it's trying to be an eyeshadow. It's very pretty eyeshadow. This shade I love. Like, I haven't looked in a while, but this is like a nude taupey shimmer. Was like super unique in my collection for a really long time. When I used it, I fell in love with it. This is the same time during 2020 I started hating orange eyeshadow and I started loving this eyeshadow, and I think those are correlated. But it's so pretty. Like, I don't know, it's not like the most sparkly, but it's such a pretty shimmer. These are fine. I don't know, I use them mostly as eyeliners. They're totally fine. Like, I'll use them as eyeliners. They're nice as eyeliners. Yeah. Nice palette. I hope to completely use it up, mostly, at least. I'll do the boring one and then the less boring one. So this is my L'Oreal True Match powder. It's also in a project pan. I actually recently just repressed this, so it's not as obvious. It looks pretty full right now, but I'll insert a picture of what it looked like just before I repressed it. This pan is huge. Like, I've definitely used this 100 times, and I've had this powder for so long. So yeah, pretty obvious one there. I'm hoping to use it up this year. Okay, the last one is this is not actually very exciting. Maybe I shouldn't have saved this for last. It's my Complex Culture Overtime Blush in Pink Slip. This I got in Ipsy. It was just totally, like, whatever. But I put it in a project pan last year, and it was in that project pan the whole year, and I'm sure I've used this 100 times. And I don't have pan. I haven't even worn away the imprint, but it's a blush. So I feel like, yeah, I could have used it 100 times and still have this be what it looks like. But yeah, I think I've used this 100 times. It's actually quite a nice blush. It's just very nude pink, peach kind of color. Totally fine. This is like, I could use it up, or I could easily give this to a friend and be like, yeah, go use it. The like packaging, it used to have the like logo there, but it's worn away, which is kind of annoying. I will use it and it's nice, but I have no love for it, really. Like, it's whatever. So those were my things. 10 things, perfect. 10 things that I've used 100 times. I will update this in the future. I'm like trying to keep track of things better this year, but I haven't really worked out those systems, so they're a little bit fuzzy. I do have like a couple palettes in the 50s range, so it'll probably be a while. I'm still working on keeping track of other items, but other items are easier than palettes, but so that's why I've been paying more attention to palettes, if that makes sense. Hopefully some lip products, maybe some that I'm panning, I don't know, maybe some highlighters, although I've been kind of rotating them more. We'll see, maybe I'll update this in another 6 months or something. But those are 10 things I hit 100 uses on at some point in the recent past. I hope you enjoyed that. Do you guys have anything that you think you've hit 100 uses on? Or do you have this kind of makeup collection where you're like, yeah, I've used everything 100 times, like, duh. Anyway, I think it's interesting. It's really interesting. Like, what does 100 mean in terms of makeup? It's kind of tricky. Like, how much use is 100 uses really? Very interesting. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll check out some other videos of mine whenever I post next. Goodbye!